Hi, it's Nick on the 22nd of June with my fourth thought on the idea of building a business around following your calling. And I think one of the things that I most realised when I started my own business nearly 3 decades ago now was how much unsolicited advice I was going to get from people who, some of whom I should listen to and some of whom in retrospect I should never have listened to. But I think that's one of the things that we can find overwhelming, I think, when we're running our own business, and especially when we're doing something we love and that's so close to our heart, is, whose advice should we listen to? How can we trust ourselves to know that we're doing the right thing? And I'm not going to offer a quick answer because I think there's lots of things to take into account. But just a thought that I came across a few years ago. You may have heard of the mystic poet Rumi. And one of his lines in one of his poems was the idea, he put it in these words. He says, "When embarking upon an adventure, do not consult somebody who has never left home." When embarking upon an adventure, do not consult those who have never left home. Something like that, slightly paraphrasing. And I love that idea because I realised that in my early days I was listening to a lot of advice about being entrepreneurial from people that had never run their own business, who had only ever been employees, and they always brought their own ideas and their own opinions and often prejudices to the idea of running a business at all. And then, today, when I started out, there wasn't even an internet. So today, you've only got to do a Google search for anything and you'll get tons of advice about how to do it. And some of that advice will be good, and some of it won't be so good. And I think the place that I would advise you, and I'm sure that you're kind of aiming at this anyway, is to somehow be able to filter other people's advice and then ask the question, how can I implement this strategy, or how can I do this in a way that feels true and authentic for me? And I think that's what I tend to do these days, is I look at what other people are doing or what they advise to do, especially around kind of marketing and packaging and all those kind of things, and kind of go, great, I see what they're suggesting. How can I take the best of that idea and utilize it in my own authentic way so that what I do feels like it's really true for me, but is also a good way of doing it? Because I do believe that each of us, inside us has, if you like, an entrepreneurial intelligence, a spiritual intelligence, an emotional intelligence, a mental intelligence. So I think part of it is trusting our own instincts, is learning to know when we feel aligned with ourselves, when we kind of get an idea and we kind of go, oh, if I did it like this, that feels like it could really work and it would be really authentic for me. So it's learning to trust ourselves. And I suppose I would, I've kind of shared about different intelligences, but I think, we've each got that kind of inner entrepreneur, that inner leader, that inner mystic, that inner good thinker, that inner strategist. So I think where I've got to today is I don't always know if I'm following inner advice or outer advice that I blended in, but I just kind of trust what I feel is right for me. So I guess it's taking in information and it's trusting yourself at the same time, and trusting all those intelligences working together until you get that feeling of kind of, yeah, bullseye, this feels like it. This feels like I'm bringing together all my marketing brilliance, my spiritual brilliance, my leadership brilliance, my good strategy and emotional intelligence, and it just feels great. So that would be the bullseye that I would suggest you aim for. But I think, again, one of the skills that all of us need to discern as we go along is knowing whose advice to listen to, whose advice not to listen to, and whose advice to pick and choose from what they say. Because we all do need advice, we all do need guidance. And the best kind of advice will also invite you to try it on for size, if you like, and to trust your inner knowing. So that's today's thought about running your own business around your calling. And trusting that there's always something new wanting to emerge from you. It's not something you necessarily have to impose, it's something you have to draw out and potentially give structure to. So that's been helpful. God bless, have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.